Let us close our eyes and imagine we're in the Forum in Rome at the height of its glory. Not the silent ruins we wander today, but a riot of colour and noise. Togas flashing white against the sun, voices rising in argument, the air thick with the smell of olive oil and hot bread. In the middle of it all stands a man of middling height, sharp-eyed, quick-tongued, gesturing with the confidence of someone who believes words can change the world. That man is Marcus Tullius Cicero, and for the next quarter of an hour we are going to walk in his footsteps, listen to his voice, and ask what this Roman lawyer, politician, and philosopher can still teach us 2,000 years after his head was nailed to the very rostrum from which he once thundered. Cicero was born in 106 BC in Arpinum, a small hill town southeast of Rome, the sort of place you and I might call the provinces, but to a Roman aristocrat it was the sticks. His family had money, from tanning leather of all things, but no political clout. In Rome, that mattered more than gold. Young Cicero therefore did what any ambitious provincial does. He studied. He devoured Greek philosophy the way a starving man falls on a loaf. Plato, Aristotle, the Stoics, the Epicureans, the lot. He trained his voice with actors, his arguments with lawyers, and by the age of 27 he was already winning cases that made older advocates sweat. Let me paint one of those early triumphs. A Sicilian client, bullied by a corrupt Roman governor, hires Cicero to prosecute. The governor is Verres, a name that still reeks across the centuries. Verres had looted temples, crucified citizens, turned whole cities into his private cash cow. Cicero gathers the evidence, sails to Sicily, interviews terrified witnesses, and comes back with wagon loads of statues, documents, tears. In court he does not drone on for weeks as Roman advocates usually did. He promises to finish in a single speech. And he does. Verres flees into exile before the jury even retires. Overnight, Cicero is the most famous lawyer in Rome. But fame is a fickle goddess, and Cicero is about to learn her moods. By his 40s he has slithered up the greased pole. Quaestor, aedile, praetor, and in 63 BC, at the earliest possible age, consul. It is the highest office in the Republic, and Cicero, the provincial upstart, now shares power with the blue-blooded elite. That same year, a disgruntled aristocrat named Catiline tries to burn the Republic down. Literally. He plans to murder the consuls, torch the city, cancel debts. Cicero gets wind of it. In the Senate, he rises and delivers 4 speeches we still call the Catilinarians. The first begins with a question that rings like a bell. Quo usque tandem abutere, Catilina, patientia nostra? How long, Catiline, will you abuse our patience? Catiline bolts. His followers are hunted down. 5 ringleaders are strangled in a prison beneath the Forum without trial. Cicero calls it the salvation of the state. Others call it the first crack in the rule of law. Here is the hinge on which Cicero's life turns. He believes the Republic is a delicate balance, Senate, people, law, and that extraordinary men must sometimes bend the rules to save the rules. Most of the time, he is a stickler for procedure. This, once he is not. The Senate votes him the title Pater Patriae, father of his country. He loves the sound of it. Years later his enemies will use the executions as a stick to beat him with, and he will spend the rest of his life justifying, explaining, boasting. Exile follows. A cruel, comic, heartbreaking year. In 58 BC, a tribune named Clodius, sleek as a cat and twice as vicious, passes a law banning anyone who would put a citizen to death without trial. Cicero flees Rome in disguise, weeping on the road to Brundisium. His houses are burned, his wife Terentia left to haggle with creditors. He writes letters that read like a man drowning in self-pity. I wander like Odysseus, but without the hope of Ithaca. Then, suddenly, the political wind shifts. The Senate recalls him. Pompey himself escorts him back. Rome greets him with bonfires and cheering crowds. Cicero strides up the Capitoline Hill as though he had never left. But something has changed. The Republic is cracking, and three giants now stride across the stage. Pompey the general, Caesar the conqueror, Crassus the billionaire. Cicero tries to play the honest broker, the voice of moderation. It is like trying to referee a fight between tigers. Caesar crosses the Rubicon in 49 BC civil war. Cicero dithers. He always dithers when the choice is between safety and principle, then sides with Pompey. Pompey loses at Pharsalus. Caesar wins, and wins generously. He pardons Cicero, invites him to dinner, treats him like a slightly embarrassing uncle. Cicero retires to his villas and does what he always threatened to do. He writes. My goodness, does he write? Treatises pour out on friendship, on old age, on the nature of the gods, on the perfect orator, on the republic, on duties. He invents a new Latin vocabulary for philosophy because the old one will not stretch. Words like qualitas, essentia, moralis, they are his coins, minted fresh. Let me linger on two of these books, because they are the ones that still speak loudest. First, De Amicitia, on friendship. Cicero is 60, widowed, divorced, his daughter dead in childbirth. He puts the dialogue in the mouth of his old friend, Laelius, who has just lost Scipio, Africanus. Friendship, Laelius says, is nothing less than perfect agreement on all things divine and human. Together with goodwill and affection, it is not a transaction, not a ladder to climb, not a shield against loneliness. It is virtue wearing a human face. The second book is De Officiis, on duties, written in a fever after Caesar's assassination. In 44 BC, Cicero is trying to tutor his wayward son Marcus at university in Athens, but really he is writing to the whole next generation. He takes the Stoic Panatius as his spine and fleshes him out with Roman blood. Duty, he says, has 4 parts: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, but the greatest is justice, because without it the other 3 are hollow. And justice means giving every person their due, not just their legal due, but their human due. The farmer deserves the fruit of his labor. The slave, though Roman law calls him a thing, deserves not to be treated as one. That last thought is a whisper against the roar of an empire built on chains. But it is there. Caesar is dead, but the Republic does not revive. Instead, a skinny teenager named Octavian, Caesar's great-nephew, teams up with Mark Antony and a non-entity called Lepidus. They call themselves the Triumvirate. Their first act is proscription, death lists posted in the forum. Cicero's name is on it, added, Plutarch says, at Antony's insistence because Cicero once mocked his drinking. On the 7th of December 43 BC, centurions track him to his villa at Formiae. He is being carried in a litter. He tells his slaves to set it down. A soldier named Popilius, whom Cicero once defended in court, draws his sword. Cicero stretches out his neck and says, "There is nothing proper about what you are doing, soldier, but do try to kill me properly." The head and hands are cut off and sent to Rome. Fulvia, Antony's wife, takes the head, pulls out the tongue that had flayed her husband in the Philippics, and stabs it with her hairpin. The tongue is nailed to the rostrum. The voice of the Republic is silenced. Yet silence is not the end. Cicero's books survive the bonfires of civil war, the collapse of the Republic, the sack of Rome, the Dark Ages. Monks copy them. Renaissance princes quote them. The American founding fathers pack them in their saddlebags. When Jefferson drafts the Declaration, when Madison sketches the Constitution, they are thinking in Ciceronian Latin. The idea that government exists to secure natural rights, that power must be checked, that the law stands above the magistrate. These are not Greek gifts. They are Roman, and Cicero is their chief courier. What, then, is the takeaway for us? 3 things, I think. First, words matter. Cicero believed that if you could name a thing clearly, you were halfway to mastering it. In an age of sloganeering, that is a salutary reminder. Second, institutions are fragile. The Roman Republic lasted 500 years and died in a decade because good men compromised too often and bad men compromised not at all. Third, decency is a choice. Cicero failed at it sometimes. He could be vain, vindictive, terrified, but he kept choosing it, and in the end he chose it with his life. I leave you with a line from the dream of Scipio, the soaring coda to his republic. The elder Scipio appears to his grandson in a dream and shows him the stars. Earth, he says, is a tiny speck. Fame is a puff of smoke. The only thing that lasts is the good you do for the Commonwealth. Then he adds something almost unbearably tender. Hasten to the stars by the road of virtue, for the souls of the righteous are immortal. Cicero did not quite believe in personal immortality. He wobbled on the question, but he believed in the immortality of a life well lived, and that perhaps is enough. The forum is quiet now. The rostrum is gone, the statues broken, the tongue long turned to dust. But open any page of Cicero and the voice is still there, urgent, witty, human, reminding us that the conversation never ends.